Hey guys, welcome back. Today let's get started with day 2. So today we are going to discuss about Argo CD concepts and terminologies. Okay, so knowing all the concepts and the terminologies which we use in Argo CD is one of the key things, because in case if we don't know what are all the things there in Argo CD, then actually we will not be able to answer any questions asked in the interview, or else even it will be confusing for us, right? So let's get started with all the Argo CD concepts and terminologies. Okay, so the first one is application. Okay, so the core objective in Argo CD is application, like creating an application. So what exactly it does? So for example, in case if we have to deploy any application, so those things will be in the application section of the Argo CD. Okay, so it is defined using application CRD. So what does CRD mean? It is custom resource definition. Okay, so we define each and every configuration which is required in a definition YAML file. Okay, and also like it contains information like git repo path, destination, cluster namespace, etc. Okay, and also it is we tell a git repo to deploy in this cluster and this namespace. So all we things we define in this application thing. Okay, so in Argo CD, we will be able to see it under the UI. So let me show it now. I'm using Killer Coder today to show you the demo. So you can also use this one for practicing. So here, if you see, so in this already the Argo CD is installed. So let's get started. So in case if you have to access the web, so just click on this command. So we will get the password. Just copy this one and then click on Argo CD this one. Okay. So we will it will open the UI. Okay, so by default the username is admin, and password is the thing which we just now we got. Okay, just paste this one and sign in. So we are able to access. Okay, so if you see, this is the application. So just now we discussed, right? So whatever application we create, it will be here. Okay, so everything will be here, and just clicking on this, you will be able to see multiple applications here. Okay, so this is where we see applications. So let's get started with next one. The next one is repository. Okay, so in case if we have to create any applications or something, so we have to give the repository from where the code has to be obtained, right? Because these are all like GitOps tools. Okay, so it will be Git will be considered as the source of truth. Okay, so the entire code which we maintain, it will be in a repository. So here we are giving the Git repository, so it is the single source of truth for Kubernetes manifest. So it can be like a plain YAML files, or else in case if you want to manage every configuration file easily, you can use Helm charts, or else you can use customized overlays, or else you can just use JSON templates. Okay, and also Argo CD connects via HTTPS and SSH. So repository, we have, in case if we have like a few repositories, like in case if you have multiple applications and each application has separate repo, you can define multiple repositories. Okay, so that you will be able to access those things easily. Okay, so now let's see how we can configure this repository. So if you see here, we have something called settings. Okay, just click on settings, and if you click on settings, we have something called repositories. Okay, just select this one, and then here we have something called connect repository. In case if you have added new list, you can just refresh the list. So here like you have to connect to a repo, right? Just click on connect to the repo. Okay, and we can connect it via SSH or else via HTTPS. And also in case if you have GitHub app, you can connect this one. Okay, so now let's get started. So here we can try to connect via GitHub app. So this is GitHub, and project we can select default, and repository URL. Okay, so we have this repository. Just I will select this repository. Okay, so we have this hotstar clone. I'll just select this one. Okay, otherwise we can connect via HTTPS. So we have multiple options. So we can connect via HTTPS itself. It will be easier. Okay, it is Git, and name I'll just give test, and then repository URL, and then username password, it is optional. Okay, I will just try to connect. So in case if you have some private repository and if you have to connect it, then you can give username password. Okay, but this is public, so I have connected. So if you see, it is successful. Okay, So it has successfully connected and we can use this one. So this is how we create the repository. Just go to settings, click on repositories, and here you can configure your git repository. So here you can configure your Helm charts as well. In here I have connected using https. In case if you want to connect using sh, you can use this one, and in case if you want to connect using github cli, you can just select this one. Okay, so this is how we connect. So the next thing is destination. So you have installed your Argo CD in a Kubernetes cluster, but you have to deploy this application somewhere, right? So where exactly you have to define? So that is the where exactly you have to deploy this application. That is the destination. Okay. See the target environment where app is deployed. So defined in application spec. So when you create the application, you will define like where exactly it has to be deployed. You have to provide the cluster URL. Okay. By default, it will be the local cluster. In case if you want to deploy it in multiple places, you can select the proper cluster URL and you can select the namespace. Okay, so in case if you don't want to specify any namespace, then you can just select an option to create the namespace automatically. Okay, let's see this one. So we have the application here. So just click on new app and then just give it as art star. Okay, and then project name default, and in simple say I will keep it as manual. And then if you come down repository URL, okay, just select this one. So this one like we have already given, right, in the settings. In the settings we have already given the repo, so it is automatically showing it now. Okay, just select this one, and then here we can give path. Okay, so it is under the path k8 k8 capital K, capital K8 capital S. Okay, and then this is what we discussed, right, destination. So by default we have to give the cluster URL, like where exactly we have to give. Okay, so one is name and another thing is URL. So here URL, so by default this will be in the default Kubernetes where we have deployed our Argo CD. Okay, and namespace, so if you want you can give a namespace, or else we have an option. Okay, so if you see here auto create a namespace, if you select this one it will automatically create the namespace in case if you have defined it in the YAML files. Otherwise you have to create the namespace. Okay, so otherwise it will fail. So this is the destination, so where exactly it has to deploy. Okay, and the next thing is sync. Okay, so what exactly is sync? Sync is a process of making live state equal to desired state. Okay, live state is the state which you have mentioned in the git. Okay, and desired state, okay, sorry, live state is the environment which is running on your Kubernetes cluster. Okay, because that is the live environment which is production or something, right? And desired state, what is the desired state? For example, if you have 3 replicas and if you want 4 replicas, that is your desire. So whatever you mention in the git is the desired state. Okay, there are two modes. Okay, one is manual sync, another is automatic sync. So manual sync, so each time you have to sync it manually. Automatic sync you can configure some repo updates, some in case if there is some updates or something, automatically it will sync based on certain duration or whatever configuration. In case if you have configured any webhooks, so based on those webhooks it will trigger. Okay, so that is how we will configure the sync. Okay, so let's see where we will do that. So here we have previously we have given this, right. So namespace I will just give it as default. Okay, and then I will just create it. Okay, and if you see sync policy is manual. Okay, so here we have the option to select automatic. So sync policy we can select manual or automatic. And what is this? Okay, let me check that one. Okay, it is taking quite some time to create this application. So finally it is there. Okay, so just you can give the same configuration. So if you come here details, so this is the path, the same thing which we are given. Okay, but it has taken some time, like around 3-4 minutes to come up. So it has come up. So this is how the sync will be there. Okay, so as you have seen, so currently we have selected manual sync. Okay, so in case if we have to sync it manually, then actually we have to enable like the sync, like we have to press the sync and it will sync. Otherwise automatic sync. Okay, automatic sync means it will automatically do the sync. Okay, so here if you come here, so you have to click, it is out of sync, right? So it is the application health is missing, and sync status. Okay, it is out of sync. Okay, in case if you want to bring it to if you have to enable the sync, so just click on sync and then synchronize. Okay, so when we do synchronize, it will update the status to the sync status. Okay, so it will try to create all the resources in the Kubernetes environment. So qctl get pods, so it is container creating. Okay, if you see here, after some time it will be in the running state. So in case if you want, you can refresh this one. Okay, let it sync. Meanwhile, let's see the other topic. And then reconciliation loop. Okay, continuous process where Argo CD compares. So desired state is git. So there we mention what is required to us, like replica equal to 3, replica equal to 4, our image is nginx version 1 or nginx version 2, whatever it is we give there. Okay, live state is our cluster. And just now we have seen, right? So in case if the current state and live state is current state and desired state is not matching, then it will be in the out of sync status. Okay, just now we have seen that is in out of state, out of sync, right? So we can configure the interval. The default is 3 minutes. So every 3 minutes it will automatically sync. Or else in case if you want it to be syncing instantly, then we can configure the webhooks. Okay. So we can see that in the future classes, how to configure the webhooks and all. Okay. So the next one is application health. Okay, just now we have seen, right? So it was in the missing state, resources not found. Okay, and we have, in case if everything is working fine, it will be in the healthy state. Okay, and in case if it is just processing, it will be in the processing state. Degraded. In case if there is some error or some configuration is missing, then it will go into the degraded error state. Okay, if you see, the application health is missing. Okay, and then sync status is out of sync, and what it is saying, auto sync is not enabled. Okay, so when we have some application health issue, then normally we will see this one. Okay, and it is also out of sync. Okay, let's get started. And then the next question is drift detection. Okay, it detects if cluster resources differ from git, and it also shows out of sync. So currently we are seeing out of sync, right? So we will see similar issues. Can autocorrect if self fill is enabled, in case if there is some issue, and in case if you have enabled self fill, then it will automatically fix the issue and it will try to bring the environment back to the normal state. Okay, and this drift detection is one of the key features in GitOps tools like Argo CD or Flux CD, whatever it is. So why this is so famous? For example, you or your colleague are working on some project, and if some new one join and unknowingly if they make some changes in the Kubernetes cluster, then you will not know like what changes you have made, and this may cause some issue with the production environments or something. Okay, so in case if you want to avoid that, and in case if you have to always maintain stable configurations, then always you have to make configuration changes through GitHub, and then you have to create all the pull requests, and then you have to follow the procedure. Okay, this is one of the famous interview questions as well, and the main concept why we use GitOps tools is because we can identify the drift detection. Okay, like even if someone makes changes manually in the Kubernetes clusters, it will roll back to the previous state which was mentioned in the Git repos. Okay, so it will be mostly asked in interviews. Okay, and then sync strategies. Okay, so we have different sync strategies. One is manual, and which is like you have to click on the sync so that it will run. And then we have auto sync. So if you enable this one, like it will automatically sync, like it will check periodically the git repo, and it will compare it with the live environment. Prune. So in case if you have to remove resources which are deleted in git, for example, if you remove something in git, and if it is not auto merge, like auto sync, then actually like these applications it will be running continuously. Okay, but in case if you delete something in git and if you want to delete the application as well, then you have to enable this prune option. Okay, and self fill. So correct manual changes in cluster. For example, if you some changes are made in the production cluster directly, those will be reverted back automatically. Okay, that is called self fill feature. So where do we see these things? So the Argo CD is a bit slow, I guess. If you see, the application is running here. So the application is running in the Kubernetes cluster. It has deployed from Argo CD, but still it is showing out of sync. Okay. So what you can do, you can like force sync it. Okay. I will just do click force, and then I will just synchronize. Okay. And if you see, we have different options. Prune, okay. So you have deleted any of your configurations in Git, but the application will be running here, right? So when you delete the Git configuration, if you want this application also to be deleted, you have to select this option prune, okay. And dry run, in case if you want to do dry run without applying that one, so you can select dry run. And we have different options here, okay. So one is like without a namespace, it will not create the resources. So in case if you want to automatically create namespaces, you can select this one, and then apply out of sync only. So in case if there is some out of sync application, if you want to apply only for those things, the sync instead of applying sync for even the running applications, you can do this one, okay. And in case if you don't want to deploy any of the resources, for example, here in the ArtStar application, we have two services. One is deployment.ml and service.ml. So I have applied both. For example, if you don't want to apply deployment.ml and only you have to apply service.ml, so here you can just uncheck this one, okay. So it will partially deploy this one, okay. Let me synchronize this one once more. Okay, it's bit slow. Maybe I will try to configure this in my EC2 instance so that it will be fast next time. But anyway, it is working. Why I am telling it is working? Because it is already running the pod. Okay, so that is fine. So next thing is projects. Okay, so actually like we have selected the default project. Okay, so but in case if you want multiple projects, because in few companies, service companies are somewhere, so we will have multiple clients. Okay, so we can create multiple projects and then we can work separately for each client and separate project. So we can configure separate GitHub repositories, those things, and then we will be able to manage them separately. So it is the logical grouping of applications. For example, if you have multiple applications, like for example, we have some front-end applications, we can create that as separate project. Back-end application separate project, DB separate project. So we can create a separate project and we can have separate GitHub repositories, because no need to combine front-end with back-end and back-end with DB. We can have separately everything, right? So it will be very helpful in managing this multi-team and multi-tenant. Okay, for example, if you have multiple clusters, or else in case if you have multiple applications, you can manage those things. Okay, so it provides a repo whitelisting, destination restrictions. You can also restrict any of the things if you require, and also it is like a role-based access control. Okay, so let's see that. So if you see here, so we have these applications. Okay, so yeah, finally it is synced, guys. So if you see, it is healthy. So previously it is missing, right? Now it is healthy, and status is out of sync. Now it is synced. Okay, so it took time, but it is fine because this application is slow. That is fine. And then now we are going to see projects. Okay, so you can click on settings. Okay, so if here we have configured the repositories, right? If you come down, we have something called projects, and we have clusters. So here we are using default cluster, right? In case if you want to create additional clusters, you can come and create it here. Okay, now let's see projects. Okay, select project. So create new project. Okay, so project name I will just give Ashok, and then uh, description, this is a demo project. Okay, so why we use project? To manage different applications, or group different applications together. Okay, so now I will just in the project, it is in Ashok, and then project source repositories. Okay, so I will just edit and then add source. Okay, so for example, here it is directly giving ArtStar, right? Let me go and try to add some other project. Okay, I'll just go here and I will just select this one. Okay, and then I will just give this code. I'll just select this one and paste it here. Save. Okay, and then scope repositories, we can give that one default. Destinations, so project has no destination, just select this one and then add destination. So it is by default taking everything. I'll just select this one and name in cluster, and namespace I will give it star and save. And then scoped clusters, that is fine. Desired service accounts, that is okay. um, and then cluster resource deny list, namespace resource allow list, namespace allow deny list. So for example, if you want to deny deploying in any of the namespace, okay, then you can come here and you can just modify kind and group state. You can just add resource kind. For example, if you want to block any of the things like namespace, you can just select this one, and then you can give the group or whatever it is, and then you will be able to select this one. Okay, for now I am not selecting anything. In case if you want to block anything or allow anything, you can just select that one. Okay, and GPG keys, these things. Okay, this is fine. Okay, everything is done. um, that's it. Okay, now you come to applications. Okay, if you come to applications, now I will select new application. Okay, now I'll give demo 2. Okay, and project name, so here we have Ashok project. This is the one which we created, right? So previously when we were selecting default, we will get which repo here. So we will get artstar, right? So now the for example, if we are going to deploy it in Ashok project, if I select Ashok, and then here you can select automatic, and then repository. So here this is not the repository which we want. Okay, so if you go here, this is the repository, right? Like it is CI/CD ecart. Mm, Let me type HTTPS. I'll just otherwise I will just copy this one. I didn't save it or what? Okay, so it is selecting, and you can just give the path. Okay, and if you give path and if you do, it will create. Okay, because this I don't have any Kubernetes resources, that way I'm not deploying. Okay, I have deployment service. I will just directly give this one, and path I'll give dot, and then cluster this one namespace. I'll give as default alone because we don't have another namespace. um, then create. Okay, so this is how we use project. Okay, so let's get started with next one. So declarative setup. Okay, instead of creating apps via UI, you are creating UI, right? So instead of this, we can create some YAML CRDs, custom resource definitions, and we can store it in the Git. Okay, so we will be able to easily manage those things. The next one is app of app pattern. Okay, so for example, if you have to manage multiple child applications, okay, then you can create app of app patterns. Okay, so this will be very helpful in case if you are managing large scale applications or multi-service applications. So in this example, like we can deploy front end, back end, and DB apps together, so you can keep everything as app of apps. Okay, and repository types, so we have used Git repositories, right? We have already shown you how to use this one. And similarly, you can use some Helm repositories so that it will be easy. So the YAML files will be automatically created based on Helm repo. And then this is one of the important thing. Okay, so in Argo CD server components, when we install Argo CD, in the previous class we have installed, right? So we got, when you did the kubectl get pods hyphen all, so we have got these pods. Okay, Argo CD server pod, Argo CD repo server, Argo CD application controller, Argo CD dex server. Okay, so what is this Argo CD server? So this Argo CD server is the one which gives the API server and UI. You are able to see the UI, right? Argo CD UI. So those things are given by Argo CD server. Okay, and then Argo CD repo server. Okay, so this will give all the manifests, and then all the Git related repos are managed by Argo CD repo server. Okay, and then Argo CD application controller. This is the reconciliation loop. Okay, so in case if you have to do out of sync, or in case if you have to sync, so all these application related things are managed by Argo CD application controller. And Argo CD dex server. So in case if you have to enable the single sign-on, so when we logged in into Argo CD, we were using username password, right? But in real time, if you are using in your organization, you will not use username password. You will be configuring some single sign-on, right? So for example, you will be using Azure Active Directory, or else in case if you are using some other login things. So all those things you can configure using Argo CD dex server. Okay, this is the one, dex server. Remember this one in case some interviewers may ask, like, how do you configure the authentication in your Argo CD? So you have to tell Argo CD dex server is used for authentication, or else in case if you want, you can use Azure Active Directory. Okay, so you will be able to manage the single sign-on. And RBAC, okay, role based access control. So this is also very important. So like you can manage like who can deploy sync, because you as a DevOps engineer, you will be managing the Argo CD. But for example, if you give full access to dev team or testing team, and in case if they make some changes and break the uh, CD pipelines, then it will be tough, right? So you have to control the access to the users. Okay, so you have to configure the RBAC policies, and you have to restrict. So just now we have also seen, right? Uh, Here, when you try to create these projects, let me show this one. So let's select default alone. So if you see here, so we have this one. So here, we are allowing cluster resource allow list, and then cluster deny list, cluster resource deny. So all these are RBAC policies which you have to give. Okay, so you can maintain it like this. Okay, so this is the key concepts and things in Argo CD. Let's see the other concepts in next class. Okay, thank you guys. Bye.